So here at India International Center, Bloomsbury is releasing a biography of Shastri. It says it was overdue by Dr. Karan Singh, the first governor of Jammu and Kashmir. And the book is The Great Conciliator, Lal Bahadur Shastri and the Transformation of India. And the comment is necessary reading by the governor of Bihar, Arif Muhammad Khan. And it says that it perfectly captures Shastri's essence. And that is Brigadier Sukhjit Singh says, Maharaja of Kapurthala. Look at this, it's so beautiful. It's in the front lawns of India International Center. And in praise of the book, it's written, The Great Conciliator would go a long way in educating the readers about the life of Lal Bahadur Shastri and his vision. And then an exceptionally well-researched book says, Shekhar Gupta, who's the editor-in-chief, the print, a new perspective on a life that was lived for the country, says Anil Shastri, former minister and member of parliament, long overdue, a highly readable account with new information, says Neerja Chaudhary, author of How Prime Ministers Decide. And then Ajay Chaudhary, co-founder HCL, says 5 years of extensive research has produced this brilliant book. I absolutely enjoyed reading it. And look at that, that's the ISBN for you. So it's a must read. So these are the books. Look at the crowd. So many people are here for Lal Bahadur Shastri's book out here. Man of great substance. It shows that he's still relevant in today's day and age. We're ready to welcome the governor of Bihar. Biography by Sanjeev Chopra. Okay, that's the governor of Bihar. Okay. That's that could be the author.
Khan Sahab, Governor of Bihar, author of the book, my colleague Sri Sanjeev Chopra, Sri Bahadur Shastri, Shekhar Gupta, Dr. Surya Pandit, dignitaries sitting in the audience, Sri Prem Prakash ji, Sri Ajay Chaudhary, to extend a very warm welcome to His Excellency Sri Arif Muhammad Khan, who has very kindly accepted our invitation to be the chief guest today here to unveil the book, The Great Conciliator, authored by Sanjeev Chopra. It is always a treat to the ears and mind to hear Arif Sahab. He is indeed a great scholar, a great speaker. We all still remember the speeches that he delivered as member of parliament, as a minister in the parliament. How can one forget his frank, the frank way of expressing his views, his historical speech that he made on the occasion of this Sabalu controversy, he still reverberates, in our mind. The book on Shastri, titled The Great Conciliator, written by Sri Sanjeev Chopra, indeed is a true tribute to a great son of India. Shastri, when he became Prime Minister of the country, we were all young school students. As we all know, he came from a very humble background and lived his life that way throughout. He also lived, not only he faced poverty, but also lived poverty. And because of his nature, because of his approach, because of his, and that too at a time when the country has suffered a huge defeat at the hand of China just a couple of years back. The country was facing a huge, food shortage, and then tradition that it is Shastri's visit to Amul, where we saw the great work being done by Dr. Kurian in promoting this milk revolution, and also to save the farmers, milk farmers from the exploitation of middlemen. That at his encouragement, Dr. Kurian set up the National Dairy Development Board, which has done a wonderful service for the country throughout. As a professor of IAS in 1976, when we were undergoing training, our director used to be Dr. Sri Rajeshwar Prasad, who had worked as a year. He would be, delivering a talk to us on the birthday of Lal Bahadur Shastri on his life and experience that he had with Shastri. It used to be such a heart-rending kind of, experience for us to listen about the person whom we all endeared. I still remember as a school student, we were facing the crisis all over the country. Shastri just gave a call to the countrymen.
That's Sanjeev Chopra.
On this occasion, I would like to... I also welcome the other speakers, Sri Adar Shastri, Sri Shekhar Gupta, Dr. Aishwarya Pandit, and of course our colleague Dr. Sanjeev Chopra. Warm welcome to Sri Prem Prakash, who has worked with Shastri and he was with him at Tashkent. He is amid us here. Warm welcome to Sri Ajay Chaudhary.
Thank you very much, Dr. Munshi.
That's Sanjeev Chopra.
Honorable Shri R. Mohammad Khan ji, the Governor of Bihar, and an inspiration for all of us. In fact, when he was visiting the academy at that time, I told him that I will be writing on Shastri ji. And he said, when you write it, let me know, and I'll come to launch your book. So, thank you very much. Sir, I have kept my promise, and you kept your promise. Thank you so much for being here with us. Mr. Shekhar Gupta, an icon, a person whom everybody knows. I mean, everybody wants to know. And thank you very much, sir, for walking the talk and for leading print, online, offline, and the national interest in the real sense. Thank you very much for being here. My friend Aishwarya Pandit, who's author, scholar, has written some very wonderful books, and of course Adar Shastri. Thank you, Adar, for joining us. In fact, he had to cut short this program. He was supposed to be in Calcutta, but at the request of his distinguished father, Mr. Shastri, he agreed to come. Members of the Lal Bahadur from all branches of the country. And I think it's a great resource, a resource that needs to be acknowledged.
Mother repository, the library of the Prime Ministers.
Wonder Sahib has been kind enough to give us some leeway on time. So it's not as strict a program as was approved. So thank you very much, sir. Only governors can have this liberty of giving us this grace. So thank you, sir, for being as gracious as you always are. And for speakers, the gift of time is the best gift that you can give. So for speakers, the best gift is the gift of time. So thank you so much. So friends, the question often comes up that why open Shastri? As I mentioned, when I took over charge as the director of the academy on 1st January 2019, that was a dream job for me. I always wanted to be the director of the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy. I went there, and after paying floral tribute to Sardar Patel, who was actually the Bhisham Panama of the civil services, I went to the Gandhi Smriti library of the academy, and I was looking at all the books that are there in our library. We've got 2 million books in our library. 2 lakh books in our library. 2 million, we won't have the space, but 2 lakh books in our library. But the number of books on Shastri ji were not more than a score. There were not more than 20 books on Lal Bahadur Shastri, the person on whom the academy is named. And that was in contrast to the books on Nehru, on Gandhi, collected works of Mahatma Gandhi are there. So I thought let's just put some time and effort into studying the life of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Three of my very distinguished predecessors in the IS, Mr. Rajesh Prasad, Mr. L.P. Singh and Mr. C.P. Srivastava, who worked with him, have written about him, but they have written about the time that they spent with him, the 1900. And when you read the speeches of the Congress presidents of 1900 to 1940, you see the way the country was transitioning. From a time in 1900 when Lord Curzon was being welcomed as the greatest star on the Indian government, to the time when when the disillusionment set in because of 1903, the famine that took place, the partition of Bengal, the decline started. And then of course we see 1915, we see Mahatma Gandhi's entry on the scene. So all these are impacts. This time has a great impact on individuals. So an individual is not a product of himself. An individual is a product of his time. An individual is also a product of the place that he lives in, but a place itself is a product of the time. So for instance, when we talk of Mughal Sarai, Mughal Sarai is a great railway junction. So why did that railway junction come up? What was it used for? So all these things came up. Then we come to Benares, the city where he grew up. Benares, what a great city. That was the time when BHU was being made, when Kashi Vidyapith was being made, when all these things were happening. So again, Benares. Then he goes to Lahore, a city about which we know little, and something on which our historical records are also not that great because we've lost some of those records in transition. And then Allahabad, then Lucknow, and then finally New Delhi. These are the places where Shastriji lived and worked, and I've tried to capture some of these places, the nuances of these places. I've tried to look at people. Ammaji, his mother, great influence on him. Lalitaji, his wife, and the great reconciliation that he had to do between his mother and his wife. His mother was very conservative, but very bold at some levels. She did not want Lalitaji to be out and picket the foreign cloth, but he had to reconcile her. So, Shastriji's life is actually a life of reconciliation, of reconciling many, many, many different interests. And that's what he did with Das Tandon and Jawaharlal Nehru was fond of both of them. Both of them were also equally fond of him. So I'll not take too much time, but that's what I wanted to convey, that this is how the whole aspect of conciliation that came up. Friends, till 1930, after 1935, a lot is known about his life because by then he had become a legislator. He was the president of the Allahabad District Congress Committee. But the greatest contribution to my mind, one of the greatest contributions, was the Congress Agrarian Committee Reform Report, which he wrote in 1935. The foundations of the CSEP, the foundations of MG Narega, the foundations of right to work, the right to food, all of them we find in this thing. And another very important point about Shastriji is that he did not speak emotionally. He spoke on empirical facts. Everything that he wrote was based on facts. You read the report, you will find that there were 4.96 crore people in UP at that time. 12 lakh was the number of people who had land. These are the number of people who had land in excess. This was the number of tenants. So it's a very detailed report. And therefore, whatever Shastriji wrote was something which was out of the ordinary. General Pannu is here, who's helped me reconstruct the 1962 and the 1965 episode, especially the 1965 episode. The first person who led the country from debacle to resurgence, and that's the name of this article on how we were able to actually show that we are a strong nation on the back of Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, an absolutely stirring slogan which galvanized the country. And I must mention here that it was Ranjit Singh who first went and got back went to Kabul and got back the gates of Golden Temple and Somnath. But the first person in India who was heading the Republic of India and crossed the borders of India was actually Lal Bahadur Shastri. So I think he is the first person who actually, and because of whom, we actually were able to fly the national flag on several police stations in Lahore and Sialkot sectors. Brigadier Sanjeev Singh was then a major, working with him in the Sialkot sector. He would have been here, but he couldn't have been here. Very grateful that Brigadier Sanjeev Singh and Mr. Prem Prakash, two people who actually worked with Mr. Shastri, are here with us today, and we're really honored. The lot is, I won't take too much time. In spite of your Pakistan. That's a chapter which tells us that it is not economic growth or the GDP growth which matters. It is the conciliation, it is the internal strength of a country which is far more important than GDP figures. That is what India was having, because we were recognizing linguistic diversity. Whereas Pakistan was curbing its linguistic diversity by making one unit for the East and one unit for the West, and thereby that, I think, was the great difference, the great conciliation. Shastriji taught us that whether you agree or do not agree, you must listen. Listening is the most important aspect in any conversation. Not getting convinced, not being convinced, but listening. And I think that's the great tribute. He was also a great poet when he wrote poetry. And, these are the lines which he wrote when his daughter, Pushpe, she died. He writes this on behalf of his wife. He says, क्या यही खेल इस निष्ठुर नियति का जो तुमने भी खेला है, यह कहकर बंधन छोड़ चली कि जग तो एक झमेला. Thank you very much.
They're unveiling the launch of the book by the governor. And the other dignitaries are there. And that's his son, Lal Shastri.
Thank you once again. Congratulations.
He's the grandson of Prime Minister, late Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri.
Articulation, which I have never seen as yet in Shastri for
Very,
sure.
very.
And I was born much after Shastri passed away. Heard so much about him from my
We never met his grandfather.
grandmother. But I think Sanjeev Chopra's book